Hi, it's Art again from Few Texts Later, and today we will talk about Google's first generation Wi-Fi mesh router, and let's see if it's still worth it in 2021. If you're into tech and smart home in particular, consider subscribing. That's what this channel is all about. Don't forget to click the bell to get notified when we put out long-term review videos just like this one. In this time we live in, getting access to the internet is no longer a want, rather a need. Either you're now working from home or your kids are still learning remotely. For home automation standpoint, starting a smart home can be pretty tricky and sometimes annoying, especially when devices automatically gets disconnected. Either because the Wi-Fi signal is low or the speed itself is slow. So investing extra for a dedicated router aside from the router that your ISP provided is really a game changer. I'm not saying that if you bought a separate router and let's say you're paying for a 50 Mbps internet speed, it will crank up to 100 or something. What I'm just trying to say is that whatever you're paying for is most likely the speed you will get. On top of that, it will be more reliable than ever. So we had this Wi-Fi router for over 5 months now. We got it from Amazon in a pretty sweet deal. It's only for $55 for a router. I know it's not brand new, which is fine for me, since I actually looked it up on the reviews on Amazon and they are just okay as far as experience of the other buyers are concerned. So I got it after maybe 3 weeks since, it needs to be shipped to the Philippines. If you want to know how I buy stuff online, especially smart home devices overseas that are not normally available or it will cost me more if I get it from a local seller, let me know in the comment section below. And not too long ago, we just got ourselves a Nest Wi-Fi point, the second generation with Google Assistant built in. We'll be making a separate video about it. Going back, the included router from our ISP is not good enough after we got a couple of smart devices. If I can remember it correctly, back then we only had a smart speaker, 5 smart bulbs, an Android TV box, and 2 smart plugs. And the connection is terrible even though we're paying for like 25 Mbps internet plan. I'm assuming that is because of the number of connected devices that we have. Not to mention we got phones and laptops connected to the same router. Now Google Wi-Fi Router was released 5 years ago as of making this video. And over time, there are other routers and mesh systems that are more reliable and fast that came out. But why did we opt for the Google Wi-Fi, you may be asking? We'll talk about it later, but for now, basic specs for those who are not familiar. Wi-Fi connectivity of AC 1200 2x2 wave, and it has an expandable mesh. It supports dual band, which are 2.4 and 5 GHz networks, and Bluetooth for initial setup. It has a quad-core ARM CPU with 512 MB RAM and a 4 GB flash storage. Now to set this up, first use the included Ethernet cable that you need to plug to your existing ISP router or modem, and then on the other end, it needs to be plugged to your Google Wi-Fi router. Then just simply power up the device by plugging in the included USB-C power adapter. Once it's on, download the Google Home app. Just to let you know, before you need the Google Wi-Fi app, but Google eventually changed that and they integrate the router to your Google Home app. Once you set up the Google Home app, the app itself will automatically detect the router. Then just simply add the Wi-Fi to your network by following the on-screen instructions. Now let's talk about the features in the app. Once the device is added, a new tab on your Google Home app will appear as Wi-Fi. Once you tap that, you will see 3 options: Internet, Wi-Fi devices, and devices. Under Internet, it gives you a detailed graph of how your internet speed is doing, like the download and upload speeds. Another graph for the peak usage where you can see the date you most use the internet. Usage is where you can see the amount of data that you use either per day, per week, or every month. And below that is the previous internet speed you run. Now, if you go to points, that is where you can see the Google Wi-Fi routers or Nest routers and the points as well. Then under devices are the devices that are connected to your router, and you can view their actual usage real time. Now, if you go back, you can check the settings where you can change the Wi-Fi name and password, set up and manage your family Wi-Fi. This allows you to set schedules for any of your other devices, especially for kids, if you don't want them to be on the internet all the time. Then you got a guest network where you can let your guest connect to the network instead of the main connection, of course for security purposes. Now, what are the things that we like about the first generation Google Wi-Fi? First is the price. If you go with the second generation Nest Wi-Fi router for one pack, it will already cost you over $100. But again, we got our router for $55, which is, I think, a steal. I know there are other options out there that are way cheaper and give more advanced features than the Google Wi-Fi router first generation. Second is the integration with the Google Assistant. There's not much router out there that can be integrated with Google Home. Since I invested so much into Google's ecosystem, it is really convenient for me to get a router that just works with Google Assistant. You may be asking, what integration am I talking about? Unlike before, Google Wi-Fi can only be accessed through its dedicated app, the Google Wi-Fi app. But after the changes Google made, Google Wi-Fi and the Nest Wi-Fi is now available in the Google Home app. That makes it easier to just simply control your smart home devices, plus change anything if I need to on my Google Wi-Fi, like set the parental controls or check internet speed and the list of devices connected to our Wi-Fi. Before, you can only check the devices connected when you go through the browser and enter the IP address of the Wi-Fi. I know it's kind of hassle, right? Third reason is the mesh network. If you're just starting out with a mesh system, there are other alternative ways. But if you're like me who needs a Google Assistant speaker from a router that I can put pretty much anywhere, Google Wi-Fi is a perfect way to start. You can add Nest Wi-Fi point even though you don't have the Nest Wi-Fi router. Make sense? What I'm trying to say is, normally Nest Wi-Fi point needs a Nest Wi-Fi router, right? But not anymore. Nest Wi-Fi points now can be connected to a Google Wi-Fi router, even though their specs are kind of different. I don't know how Google did it, but it's really impressive. So starting with the Google or Nest Wi-Fi point combo will not cost you that much. Now, the things that we don't like. Actually, there's only one. The limited number of ports at the back. It only got one internet in and one internet out. So if you have multiple devices that you want to connect through wire, you may need a separate switch. But other than that, I'm just so happy with the Google Wi-Fi router. If you want to see a review of the Nest Wi-Fi point and how we can connect it to the Google Wi-Fi router, consider subscribing. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a like. You can actually help the channel as well by donating any amount to our Buy Me a Coffee page. Link is in the description below. And again, this is Art from Few Texts Later. Thank you so much for watching. See you in our next video.